My name is Sam Ryder. I'm wearing currently one of my father's sweaters, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on the Roman Catholic Church in America. Again, this is probably the largest denomination or church in the United States. So, uh, the Catholic Church is extremely ancient, and uh, both Christopher Columbus as well as Hernan Cortez, they have an influential history on the early United States, uh, as you can tell. And one of the articles I read pointed out that they both had mistresses, so I just decided to note that. So another article I read detailing the interaction of Catholics with American politics shows there's three kinds of American Catholics. So the first kind you see are Republican uh, Catholics who are into republicanism and prioritize that. There are immigrant Catholics, and there are also evangelical Catholics, which is a more recent phenomenon as a result of Vatican II. So the Republican-style Catholics, they prioritize the res publica, or the American nation, the public thing. You have your immigrant Catholics. These are people who prioritize the immigrant community that they're from, as well as their ethnic groups. So think like Irish Americans or Italian Americans, and more recently Latin Americans, who they would kind of prioritize their own group. And finally, you have evangelical Catholics. These are people who are prioritize Christendom as a whole, not just the Catholic Church, but also just other people who profess Christianity, and they would also prioritize social issues such as abortion. So here's some people who are briefly mentioned in at least one of the articles. You have John Hughes, which we saw in a documentary video that we watched. I think 2 modules ago, or in the past module. So John Hughes, he was the Archbishop of New York from 1842 to 1864. I had to get those dates from Wikipedia. He, as we remember, he went ahead and fought against the public schools of New York, and didn't want them to be Protestant or Catholic, or he wanted to have his Catholic schools in addition to the Protestant ones that were there. Then there's Orestes Brownson, who appears to be a significant intellectual. He converted to the Catholicism in 1845, and according to the article I read, was a defender of the Catholic faith. And then I've heard of Thomas Merton. He's a 20th century or late 20th century Catholic theologian, but he also was into Buddhism and Zen. He basically seems to be some kind of liberal theologian who mixed together Catholicism with Eastern and Native American philosophy. But he was a Trappist monk and seems more influential in that period. So you'll see his name thrown around sometimes. And so here's some dates that I pulled from the 3 articles I read. So again, you have John Hughes, who becomes the Archbishop of New York from 1842 to 1864. He was very politically active in that state. You have the conversion of Orestes Brownson in 1845. And then one of the significant things that almost could have gone over badly for the Catholic Church in the United States was the condemnation of the heresy of Americanism in 1899. So you have the publishing or the issuing of Testem Benevolentiae Nostrae on the 22nd of January 1899 by Pope Leo XIII. And I understand that about that time, the Catholic Church was condemning things like Americanism, but also modernism, and it did not approve of liberal democracy and of all the products of the American and French revolutions. Then by 1960, you have the famous campaign of John F. Kennedy. If I'm correct, he was the first Roman Catholic president ever elected to the presidency. And then significantly, in a reversal of the 1890s. You have the Second Vatican Council from 1962 to 1965. It did a whole bunch of stuff. In Wikipedia, it summarizes it as basically just making it that, oh, Mass doesn't have to be held in Latin anymore, it can be held in the vernacular. But it, according to one of the articles I read, it permitted the separation of church and state and promoted social justice in various forms. You kind of see that the church became more liberal after that, and there's a lot of Catholics today who condemn it. Then you have, in 1983, you have the publishing of The Challenge of Peace, God's Promise, and Our Response, in which a letter by a bunch of American bishops wanted to address the issue of nuclear warfare. So, in 1899, you have the condemnation of Americanism, and here's a quote. I'm a bit over time, so I'm not going to go ahead and read the whole thing, but if you want to pause the video and read it here, feel free. And this is later just the Catholic Church turned around, probably as a result of the world wars and the Holocaust, and kind of as the fallout of those events. You have the Second Vatican Council, which endorsed church-state separation, and this allowed the church to basically say it has a neutral stance that has nothing to do with politics. But then it goes ahead and wants to involve itself in politics in 4 areas: the promotion of human dignity, the defense of human rights, the unifying of the human family, and by building up a search for meaning in human affairs. So again, the Catholic Church is the largest church, or it is also known as the Latin Catholic Church, as opposed to the Greek Catholic Church or the Eastern Church. But this Latin Catholic Church is the largest denominational church in the United States, so that's why I picked it as my church that I'm going to do the presentation on, because there's a lot of Roman Catholics. Biden, for example, professes to be one. He's not a good one, but he professes to be one. And those are my sources. So those are the 3 articles I read. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.